Okay, welcome. Bright and early, 6:49 a.m. Tuesday morning. You guys have a test today on Chapter 3. We're going to move into Chapter 4. I'm trying something new. You have guided notes, so I want to get this video up before the lesson so you can start looking through it and fill in your guided notes. So if you look at your guided notes, the top line says 4.1, apply triangle sum properties, and it says now classify, so that's where this is coming from. Now classify triangles and find measures of their angles. So that's what we're going to do today, and make sure you have those appropriate lines filled in. Okay, there is a review here, a few questions. You can pause if you want to. Okay, 90 degrees is right. 72 is acute. Okay. Obtuse. So how do you know that angle 1 is congruent to angle 2? Alternate interior angles theorem, because they show you that these two lines are parallel. Okay. We're going to do this activity in class. You can read through it and do it if you want to, but this is going to be our activity in class. So you should go ahead and start filling in. Excuse me, I'm drinking my coffee. It is 6:50 in the morning on Tuesday. Okay, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time here. You should be able to go through and fill this in. Classifying triangles, scaling no congruent, isosceles, 2 congruent, equilateral, 3 congruent, and then we're going to classify triangles by angles. An acute triangle has 3 acute angles, so that's what you would write in the line next to acute, right, 1 right angle, obtuse, 1 obtuse angle, and equal angular, 3 congruent angles. So we're going to go through example 1, okay, and they just tell you classify the triangular shape by the support beams. It's an acute isosceles triangle. Now they don't really specify this here, so I'm going to start talking about this. If one angle is 55 and the other angle is 55 degrees, and they show you that these are even, but you would know that the angles opposite them are equal. So if they tell you that 2 are 55 and 1 is 70, these must be the 55 and this one must be the 70. Because these lines, these marks told you that these lines were congruent. Sorry, a little cold. Okay, so on this one, okay, P, Q, O by sides, then determine if it is a right triangle. You have to use distance formula here, okay, to find the distance of these lines. This is what they do here. So OP, they find the distance is approximately 2.2. Okay. OQ is approximately 6.7. Okay. PQ, they tell you is 7.1. Okay. So you have to find the distance to be able to do that. And then they tell you, they have you check the slopes. Since the slope OP and OQ is a right angle, because OP has a slope of -2 and OQ. Excuse me, this is a problem. This is 6:53 in the morning. I just sneezed. Okay, so OP has a slope of -2. OQ has a slope of 1/2. Those are negative reciprocals. Can't use Pythagorean theorem here because these aren't numbers you can count. Notice this is 2, this is 2.2, not 2. If it was a line there, you could use Pythagorean theorem. Okay, erase all that. Okay, so guided practice, draw an obtuse triangle, obtuse isosceles triangle, and acute scaling triangle. For number 2, we're going to do this one in class together. That's why on your guided notes there's space. I'll put another video, well, if you miss class, there's the answer. It is an isosceles triangle, but get the work from somebody who is here. Okay, now we have some information about angles that you're going to fill in your guide notes. Okay, when the sides of a polygon are extended, other angles are formed. The original angles are the interior angles. The angles that form linear pairs with the interior angles are the exterior angles. Okay? We also have a triangle sum theorem. I know it's a new theorem, but you know this concept. The sum of the measures of the interior angles adds up to 180 degrees. So measure of angle A, angle B, and angle C equals 180 degrees. We've been using that in classwork already. Okay. The other concept that you need to know, we talked about it a little bit at the end of chapter 3 because I had some of your questions on your test would not include this, is this concept of auxiliary lines. To prove certain theorems, you may need to add a line, a segment, or a ray to the given diagram. An auxiliary line is used in the proof of the triangle sum theorem. And we're going to go ahead and go through this proof in class. So if you want to fast forward a little bit, you can here. But basically, I'm going to go through it with you. They want you to realize that if you draw an auxiliary line there, you're going to get these extra angles, and you can label them angle 4 and angle 5. So you start with, they give you a triangle. You want to eventually prove that this plus this plus this equals 180 degrees. Okay? So one of the things that I look for is what else is 180 degrees? Well, 4, 2, and 5 will be 180 degrees because it's a straight line. So let's back up here. Because we drew the auxiliary line, we have to draw why we can draw the auxiliary line. And the parallel postulate tells us that through any point we can draw a point and a line, we can draw a point. We can draw an auxiliary line through a point that'll be parallel to the first one. If we really wanted to, we could actually do a construction and draw this point and get it exactly parallel. Okay? But since this is just a model, it doesn't have to be to scale, we can just draw this line. Okay, so this line that we drew is also a straight angle, and a straight angle measures 180 degrees. That's the definition of a straight angle. We just do something and say this is how it is. We know that because that's the definition of it. So now I'm going to take angle 4, angle 2, and angle 5, and they add up to 180 degrees. They add up to this straight angle, this being the straight angle here. Okay? And that's the angle addition postulate. It's not linear pair postulate because there are 3 angles, not 2. So now I want to say that segment AB and BC are both transversals. That's the definition of a transversal. And that's where some of the books we have don't include these steps, but I think it's important to include them because we're going to go ahead in the next step and say that 4 and 1 are congruent because they're alternate interior angles. And 3 and 5 are congruent because they're alternate interior angles. But the alternate interior angle theorem says when 2 parallel lines, which we've determined we have, are cut by a transversal. So we have to point out that AB is a transversal cutting those parallel lines, as is BC. So, since angle 4 is congruent to angle 1, the measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 4, because that's the definition of congruence. If they're congruent, the measure is equal. And the measure of angle 3 is congruent to the measure of angle 5. Then we can substitute in the 1 for the 4 we had up here and the 3 for the angle 5 we had up here and get the substitution property of equality, which shows the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 is 180 degrees. Okay, we have another theorem here, And so once again, to help you have this theorem written down, you're going to fill in the blanks in your guided note page. Okay, and then we can use this to find angle measures. So this theorem talked about the exterior angles, and what they told us is this angle is going to be congruent to A, the sum of A and B, okay? Excuse me. So now I want to find X. So I can take this, I think that should be an equal sign on this, 70, so X plus 70 is going to equal 2X minus 5. And you can go ahead and follow this. We are going to do this, we're going to follow this example. We'll do this in class, but you can follow the example and solve that. Okay, there's also a corollary, is a statement that can easily be proved using the theorem. Sorry, more coffee. The corollary below is from the triangle sum theorem. So, the corollary to the triangle sum theorem is if this is a 90-degree angle, then obviously the measure of the two non-90-degree sides is going to add up to 90. So rather than always starting at 180 and subtracting 90, we can just say the measure of angle A plus the measure of angle B is going to equal 90 degrees in a right triangle. Okay, so we have an example here. Tiled staircase forms a right angle. The measure of one acute angle in the triangle is twice the measure of the other. Find the measure of each angle. So one of these would be X, one of these would 2X. 2X plus X is going to equal 90. And we can go ahead and solve for that. That should be, this is a mess, X plus 2X equals 90. Okay, and we can go ahead and solve that and find that we have X is 30 and 2X is 60. Okay, so guided practice number 3, we're going to do this in class, so you don't need to watch a video on this right now. If you miss class, you want to get the notes from somebody. Okay. Number 4, we're going to do this in class. If you miss this, there's the solution for you, but you don't need to copy this down right now. We're going to do this in class. And number 5, we're going to do this one in class. Since there's no way to set it up there, since that's the corollary, you're going to do 2X plus X minus 6 equals 90 and solve. Okay, an example. Okay, this one is not on the guided practice, so I'm going to go through it now. We'll also try to do it in class. In example 4, what is the measure of the obtuse angle formed between the staircase, okay, so, and a segment resulting from the horizontal leg? Okay, we're going to try and do this one in class. So if this is 90 degrees, 2X plus X, we found that this was 30 and this was 60. Okay, so if this is 30, this is 180 minus 30 is 150. Okay, so we need to find this angle and that angle. So this is 150, that's not a 90 degree. I will admit, I am a little stuck here because my brain is not working at 7:03 in the morning. So this is 2. Let's look at the answer. A, C, D. Oh, this is just the one we wanted to find. But that's ACQ. That's why it doesn't make sense. Formed between the staircase and except this is the angle they just wanted you to find. It should say A, that's why I'm stuck. So I'm sitting there saying, we need some more information to get those angles. They just wanted you to find this one, although instead of Q, it should be D. So that was the answer. Okay, feeling better now. Especially because my husband is sitting on the couch, and you know that he's laughing at me saying, ha ha ha, she messed up the problem on the YouTube video. Okay. Daily homework quiz. Okay, we're going to do this one. You're going to have to find the distance of each side. Okay, so let's do that. Actually, I'm going to pause this because my husband is really tired of listening to all this, and I'll put another video up with the daily homework quiz. So if you are doing this as your guided notes, I don't want you to go ahead and watch this video yet. I want to go through these in class. But if you miss this class and you need to go through the problems, this is a good review for you.